KPMG is committed to and recognized for our inclusive and diverse culture. Today, we are talking about advancing women in the alternative investments industry. I am joined by Camille, Asaro, an audit partner in KPMG's alternative investment practice. Camille, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And also, Melissa Waller, president of AIF Institute. Melissa, thank you for joining us. Melissa, I'm going to direct the first question to you. Why does gender diversity matter so much, and specifically in the financial services industry?
Oh, Megan, there's so many reasons that it matters within the financial industry and specifically to asset management. But I think I'll start with the top reason being around data. The data showing and demonstrating the value and the importance of having gender diversity within the organization as well as on boards for decision making, that those companies that demonstrate that are really showing higher profits as well as successes in the organizational structures. So the industry is really taking note of this and paying attention and showing that it matters.
There is a lot of data out there driven that shows diversity drives financial performance. Harvard Business Review just published an article, How and Where Diversity Drives Financial Performance, and it shows that above average diversity organizations are producing above average revenue. In fact, 19% higher of revenues as well as 9% higher of profit margins compared to their peers.
So the investors have to take notice.
Yes. And we're seeing the investors are putting more money in diverse organizations. And these alternative investment firms need to really respond to the investor needs.
Yeah, they definitely do, Camille, because I do think that you're seeing as investors with their fiduciary responsibilities, they're showing the organizations that they really do have to take those factors into consideration. And many of them are incorporating those as best practices in their due diligence processes, as well as looking at diversity on boards and in the C-suites and where decisions are being made. You'll see through those studies that Camille cited that it's definitely showing profitability and success ratios across the board.
Well, let's talk a little bit about a study, because in 2016, KPMG released a report about women's advances in alternative investments, and they found some pretty interesting facts. The report found that women face unique challenges in terms of getting hired, rising through the ranks, and actually obtaining capital. 2016. So what has changed in the last 2 years?
The change is happening, but not at the pace one would like to see it happen. The change starts with the leadership of these firms, and they need to actually embrace that diversity and inclusion is business imperative, not a choice.
And I think we're seeing across the board the discussion pieces around inclusion for that so important as folks are looking at, again, the data points with that and looking at how many organizations have diversity within the decision-making roles as well as on their boards. And then I think another big theme that came out from the data that we saw at the regional and the annual women investor meetings was around taking risks and risk-taking in general. Women were looking at this as a thematic way of how they can start to engage with the industry in that perspective. What was really interesting, though, was how they took risk-taking in a different direction around de-risking sometimes to find the right solution. So de-risking the options that they have so that they come out with higher success rate on some of the things that they're implementing.
Is this really a cultural change that's happening right now?
Yes, and it needs to happen at the firms. And that comes from the tone of the top of the leaders. And the leaders need to actually hold the rest of their management team accountable so that they change, they increase the workforce of diversity.
And is that through education?
The firms are actually incorporating some education sessions in order to actually educate their professionals to be able to handle these diverse situations.
Okay, and learn how to collaborate within a diverse organization, within a diverse team, I'm
Correct,
assuming. Okay.
yes.
All right, excellent. What are the resources that are out there to help?
We're finding that resources that help with recruitment, education, and retention are kind of the key areas that we think of. And so in the educational realm, just as Camille was mentioning, it's not just education once you're in the industry, but also prior to. We look at organizations where you've got women at such a young age where they're entering into college, into the financial industry, portions that they need to prepare themselves with. The mentorships and sponsorships are at that level as well, where they're learning how to network and navigate those cultures, which I think agree all that the network piece is another resource, if you would say that in a non-traditional way, and that's where they learn how to connect with men as sponsors as well as mentors in those organizations.
Yeah, specifically in the industry, we are seeing not only are people focusing on the pipeline and the talented women that are entering into the industry, they're also focusing on nourishing and elevating seasoned professionals to bring them to that next level. They need role models. They need to network. Sponsors. Sponsors are extremely important because the most important decisions about your career happens behind closed doors. So you need to have a sponsor in the room who believes in you, who is actually going to invest in your career.
Let's talk a little bit about what's next and what do we do next. I understand that KPMG is going to have a new report out early next year. Talk to us just a little bit about what we can expect, what's really different with that report, Camille.
The past reports have actually focused on what the issues are. We're actually going to transition into how to create a culture of inclusion. To get the momentum going for women, to advance women in the industry, it needs to be a mainstream concern. We actually need a critical mass of support, which means we need both men and women to be part of the solution. So our report that's going to be coming out this year is actually going to increase the male voice, as well as create required solutions to build that culture of inclusion.
Okay, excellent. A roadmap, if you will.
Yes.
Okay, next steps, next steps. All right, and we hear that there's going to be a teaser of this report, 2018 Women Investors Forum. Melissa, can you talk to us just a little bit about that?
Everybody loves a teaser, so we are so fortunate to be partnering with KPMG for this year's Women Investors Forum, and we'll be hosted here on October 15th, and we're really excited because, just as Camille mentioned, it's so important to have men at the table and a part of the discussion. So we'll be having them as part of this forum and in some of our keynote panels discussing these important issues, as well as hopefully hearing from KPMG some teasers from the report and what data that reveals.
All right, you're leaving us with another teaser. Thank you.
Cliffhanger.
Thank you, absolutely. Melissa, Camille, thank you so much for joining us today to really discuss this very important topic. And of course, we're looking forward to the next report. And thank you for watching.